Hey good people, and welcome back to another video with DIYs by Carolina. I hope you guys are doing well and having a relaxing and blessed Sunday. So in today's video, I am going to be working on a project that I've been wanting to do for quite some time and was just not sure about the right way to go about it. Luckily, I found a video online through YouTube that encouraged me and motivated me and inspired me that guess what? You can do this and you do not have to do any digging, and I will be sure to link that video in the description. All right, so let's quickly take a look at the area I'm going to be working in today's video. So you guys might remember recently we did the landscape in the front yard area on the opposite side of my house. And what I'm wanting to do in today's video is I want to actually create a garden door right here. You can call it a garden gate, a garden door, whatever. I like to just call it a garden door. I'm basically going to be just kind of cutting out a portion of this fencing and creating a door. And so you can kind of see I have these little stakes in here just to kind of remind me as to where I want to cut and how wide I want the door to be. And yeah, that's what I'm basically going to be doing. And you can kind of see here that the fencing is all attached. And I'm just going to be using my saw, my scale saw, to basically just cut all the 2x4s, because there's three 2x4s all the way down. And I'm just going to cut it, add my hinges, easy peasy. So that's the plan. So one of the reasons I'm wanting to actually add that door to the opposite side of my house is because I only have one entrance to my backyard, and that's the double gate that you guys are pretty familiar with. So like, say for example, if I'm doing some work in the front yard and I need to maybe carry something from the backyard, I have to literally walk all the way around to that one double gate in order to bring supplies and things like that to the front yard to work in that particular area. So having this door on the opposite side of my house, which would make two entrances, will be perfect. That's going to be ideal, and that's going to mean less work and less stress on me whenever I'm doing projects in the front yard. So one thing I do want to make sure I mention is that this is actually part one of this door, this fence door makeover. Right now, what I want to do is I want to just kind of show you guys how I created the door in the fence panel. And then next Sunday's video, I'm actually going to landscape in front of this door. So that's the part I'm so super excited about. But in this video, I definitely wanted to show you guys how it's done. Also, the saw that I'm using is a reciprocating saw. So this came in super handy, and you guys will see in a little bit that I cut the first 2x4 that's in between the two little fence panels using this saw, and it was really kind of hard for me to see how to cut the 2x4s in between these two panels because it's such a narrow opening. So I ended up going to the back of the fence where the 2x4s were literally right there, and that made the process for me a lot easier. All right, so like I mentioned previously, here I am on the back of the fence, cutting the 2x4s in between the two fence boards. So in this case, I'm cutting between a fence board and then a post. So you definitely want to make sure that the cut is right in between the fence board and the 4x4 post. So, you know, it can be a little tricky, especially if the gap is really, really narrow. But yeah, so that's all I'm doing right now is just cutting that, and you guys will see how I do that in a minute. Once what it looks like basically once it's completely cut. But this was definitely an interesting project to say the least. I will say that the video that I found on YouTube, the gentleman gave straightforward instructions. I didn't do it quite the way he suggested it because my dad decided, you know what, let's do it this way instead. Well, y'all, that got me in trouble, okay? And you guys will see what I'm talking about a little later on in the video. All right, y'all, so I did it. We've cut down the panel. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh, let me stand back a little bit. So we got that cut. So now what I'm gonna do is, it's gonna be a lot easier for me to just trim off a little bit of the bottom, so that way when I open the door after I've attached everything, it won't rub against the dirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right quickly while I still have a little bit of daylight. All right, so you guys can see here that I have the fence panel just propped up on, I think I have it's on like a little step or whatever. And I'm just gonna use a 2x4 as a guide, so then that way I can do like a straight line. And actually my fence has a slope, so I'm going to just kind of cut it in a slope, so to speak. So that's what we're gonna do right quickly. And y'all can see that I'm using my Ryobi scale saw to make this cut, which was super quick and super easy. So let's get it done. So now I'm going to get started with adding my hinges to one side of the panel. And here's a look at the hinges I'm going to be using. And I'll be sure to link these hinges in the description. So a couple of things I do want to mention. Number one, you'll notice that the 2x4s are not even. That's because the fence panel that I just cut is just sitting flat on the ground. I'm going to have my dad go around to the other side of the fence and hold it up just long enough so that I can attach the long piece of this hinge. The other thing is that I did not use the screws that originally came with this hinge. I actually went ahead and used some 2-inch pre-drilled deck screws instead because I wanted it to go deep into the 2x4. Okay, y'all, so right here you can see where my dad is on the opposite side of the fence holding it up for me. And here's where things went terribly wrong. So you guys may notice that right where I'm attaching the hinges, you notice those light color pieces of blocks? Well, this is where my dad actually basically told me to cut the current 2x4 that's on there, that's on that panel, to cut it short, real short, to the point where we had to refill it with a little piece of block of 2x4. Well, guess what? That did not work. I ended up having to remove the blocks because the minute I added the screws, they cracked. So I had to just replace the entire 2x4, all 3 pieces. Okay, so heads up, let me tell you guys what I had to actually end up doing. No mistake of my own. Y'all, you know, nobody's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. My dad, you know, he added his little 2 cents, and it caused us to be here a little bit longer than we had to be. But anyway, that's neither here or there. Anyway, I ended up having to replace the 2x4 behind um, this particular panel that I'm using for the door, because my dad suggested that we basically, you know what, I'm not going to even get into it. Anyway, this is what I have to end up doing. So this is where we're at in the process. I've went ahead and added one of the screws here, and I still have to add the other two here and here. So I have to do that for all of the other ones. And I kind of just, you know, added one for all three 2x4s, just as a way to support it, basically. So then that way I can go ahead and make sure everything is good to go. And over here, I'm going to have to end up the opening part, the opening area. Let me kind of show you guys. I'm going to have to end up just kind of trimming this area here off just a little bit, because it won't close all the way. So that's what I'm about to do right now, is just trim that up. And then, well, before I trim it up, actually, I'm going to go ahead and first add the screws to all of this, to the remaining hinges. Then I'll go ahead and do the trimming. But yeah, that was the only hold up, was just, this is what happens, y'all, when you do a DIY with someone else and they want to give their opinion about how they think things should be done. Don't get me wrong, my dad has a lot of great ideas about different things, but with this, I should have went on my gut. I should have went ahead and did this myself and just had him have a seat and drink a glass of lemonade. But y'all, it is neither here nor there. We're back on schedule. Let's go ahead and get this done, because guess what, y'all? It's about to rain. Oh my gosh, it's already drizzling. All right, y'all, so it is the next day, and as you can see, y'all, my dad has been insistent on helping me with this project. I mean, what can I say, right? But anyway, he's creating a steak, and I'll show you why. Okay, y'all, so this is what we just cut. We just went ahead and cut the steak here, and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with this. So basically, here's the door, the opening rather. You can see that. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna shut this right quickly. I'm gonna shut this for now. Oops, let me get something to hold it together, because I haven't added the latch or anything yet. Look how it swings open. All right, so I am going to use this stake here. And you can see I have a piece of 2x4 laying flat, and I'm gonna add this like this, and I cut it in a point to make it easier to drive in the ground. And then I'm gonna put my feet here, and this is just like what the guy said to do in his video. And I'm gonna use my hammer, and I'm gonna bam this into the ground, and that's going to provide additional support for this panel here. So then that way, when, you know, because the weight of the door is on this little piece of panel, so this will provide a little bit of support. Bam it in the ground, and then I'm going to screw it in. So my dad decided he wanted to do this part. Y'all, he's had a lot of time to just chill and relax for the last few months. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to put him to work. So he's bamming this in the ground. And as I said before, we're going to go ahead and add some screws as well. And again, this is just going to add additional support. All right, y'all, so we are finally at that point where it's time to add the latching mechanism. So that's what you see me in the process of doing right now, is adding the latch to this door. I'm so excited because they are calling for storms. I'm talking about lightning, thunder, all of that. So I need to get this done quick. So that's what you see me doing here. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so I've already added my pilot holes for the screws here. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys how this little latch here locks the door from the back of the fence. So it literally locks the door. And so if I'm on the opposite side of the fence in the front yard, there's a wire that you have to insert through the board and pull on the wire in the front, and it actually unlocks the door, which I thought was pretty cool. So it was pretty interesting to see how this latch worked. I had to watch a couple of videos just to kind of make sure I was doing it properly. But once I figured it out, it was super easy, you guys. Anybody could do it. So what I'm doing now is using my screwdriver to finish tightening up the screws, because my drill, because it's kind of bulky at the end and I didn't have like one of those extenders, I wasn't able to really get into the screws like I needed to finish tightening it. So this is all I'm doing now. So what I did was add a piece of block to put my handle on. I've already drilled my pilot holes, so now I'm just gonna screw it in. So I ended up adding a handle to both sides of the door, and you guys will see that in a little bit. All right, so now it's time for the fun part. So now I'm getting ready to add this little wire here, which attaches to the top portion of this little latch. And this is going to allow me to have access to this door from the front of the fence. So right now with this latch, the door is locked. So I won't be able to access the gate or the door in the front until I install this little wire. So right now I'm just kind of marking where I need to drill my hole to insert this wire through. And you guys will see me do that and see how I open the door. So excited. I love this part, y'all. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I just installed the latch and drilled the hole to run the wire. You can see it here. So if I'm coming from the front yard inside the fence, all I simply do is pull on the latch here and it unlocks it. For extra security, I even added a padlock here. And I can just put a lock in there. And that's something I'll probably just make sure that I secure at night before I go to bed or whatever. But for the most part, that padlock will probably be unlocked during the day whenever I'm home working outside in the yard. But that's just for some extra security. But yeah, I absolutely love the way this looks so far. So excited. Yes. Okay, so let me show you guys what I am going to do. Not sure if I'm going to be able to do it in this video because it's already after 8 p.m. and I don't want to disturb my neighbors. I usually don't like to do any type of cuts or make any, any type of loud noise with a saw or anything after 8 p.m. But anyway, let me just show you guys what I need to do. So right here, you can see where one of the fence I guess little panels or whatever is really, really rotten. It broke off as I was screwing in the screws. And I want to replace that eventually. At some point I'm going to have to replace all these boards. You can kind of see where the top is just, you know, pretty rigid because they've, you know, rotten over the years, deteriorated. But this one in particular, I definitely want to change out because it's just such an eyesore, and I don't want I don't want it to spoil the door. So I'm going to be changing that one out. I'm not going to worry about this one here on the end because I'm actually planning to frame the door, and I can't even describe it, how it's gonna look or whatever, but anyway, it's gonna look beautiful. So I'll easily hide this one, but this one here is just too much. It's just too deep. So I'm definitely gonna have to change that particular panel. So I went to Lowe's and got a panel. And the only thing I think I'm gonna do in this video, because again it's after 8 and it's already Saturday, don't work on Sunday or whatever. I don't work on Sundays, so I'm gonna go ahead and just change out this panel right now. All right, y'all, so unfortunately this is where my camera died. My phone actually died, so I wasn't able to show you guys how I changed out this panel, but you will see this in next Sunday's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday when we finish out framing the door and doing the landscape. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a safe and blessed Memorial Day, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.